one of the things that I love about my family is that we've really embraced the idea that family and tradition are things that evolve. Um, I think that it is a dangerous thing to get too attached to the specifics of any tradition, whether that be a book of faith or a family tradition. Anything that is no longer working, it's time to reevaluate and see how you can make it flow with the experiences that you're having. For example, the early Christians discovered, if we leverage on the timeline of the pagans and the winter solstice, it makes a lot more sense for everyone to kind of get into this birth of the Christ child vibe if we do it around December 25th, even though that is nowhere near the actual birth of Jesus. So, but let's go with the flow. Let's make it work. The same is true with the Santa Claus story. The Santa Claus story is many different myths that over time kind of became what it is today, with a little help from the Coca-Cola company, to help us really finalize and cement the view of what we have as Santa in this country. I was thinking about Santa, this mythical, omnipotent figure that knows what we're doing at all times, and based on how we act, it either rewards us or punishes us. And it's no wonder that it's such a jarring thing to learn that Santa is a myth. And it is no wonder that it plants a seed of kind of doubt, as well as, I don't know, it just seems like a bad precedent to set, especially when reread that sentence I just said and substitute God or Jesus in for Santa, and it's really the same story and the same questionable beliefs. So you're asking me to believe you about Santa, and then okay, all right, no, you're right, I was wrong, I was joking. I know you probably feel stupid because you were defending it on the playground, and now all your friends are laughing at you, but that was a lie. But the Jesus God thing, that is absolutely true, absolutely. This time, I was lying, now I'm not. It's not a great way to build up trust, elders. Anyway, traditions evolving. My family has got a bunch of traditions that evolve, and I love that we do that. For example, I no longer eat meat, so my mom now makes a tofurkey at Thanksgiving time, which is great. My sister-in-law is now a part of the family, so our traditional cranberry dish that I used to think was awesome, compared to her dish, is like slop. But so now our traditional Thanksgiving dinner includes this incredible cranberry dish that my sister-in-law makes. But it's all over the place. For example, it started years ago. My grandparents, when my mom and her brothers were young, very young, during World War II, their parents didn't have a lot of resources, didn't have a lot of money, and so they bought a lot of secondhand toys and then painted them in order to make them feel like a new gift for their kids. And so on Christmas Eve in one winter, the paint was still kind of sticky and not wet, and so they couldn't bring the bike and the dollhouse and a few other things into the house. And so my grandparents, in their geniusness, left them in the garage and in the side yard and outside, and then they tied strings to each gift and had one end of the string tied to the gift and the other end tied to the stocking of each child who would get that gift. And so that became a tradition for my parents, for my mom and her family, her brothers and sisters. And then when I grew up, that was the way that I just started Christmas when I was a little kid. You would get your stocking, you would open it up, and you get the stuff that was in there, which always had toothbrushes, a lot of those types of bathroom stuff, some oranges, always oranges, and it always had a string tied to it that you would follow at the end of the gift frenzy, follow to your coolest present usually, or your biggest present. And I love that the tradition kind of evolves as, circumstance or inspiration or whatever. Now, that even evolved further when we got to be a little bit older and my mom got frustrated with all the knots of string every year. So now, and it still is this way, once we get through the frenzy of ripping things open, we hand out clues, which is like a poem clue that each person gets that Santa writes, and it says, you know, where in the house would you find the washer? I don't think I can rhyme that in the dishwasher. Da, 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 da. Find your gift in the place where it's buh. Usually they're better rhymes than that, but you get the point. And so that's now the tradition that we have, and I love it. It's a cool thing that evolves, and it's always fun to do that. A tradition that we started probably now it's close to 20 years ago. My brother and I will leave out something for Santa, knowing that Santa has a huge responsibility and labor to go through that night. Whether that is worldwide or even in our home, it is still a lot of labor and a lot of extra work. And so we try to leave out something that is funny and humorous for an adult. Something that is cooler than milk and cookies. So I wanted to share some of the things that we've given over the years. And you know, usually we leave it out with some cute note, and then Santa leaves a funny note back. And you know, one of our first ones is we left out a big bowl of water and talked about this fantastic ice sculpture that we had made and hoped that he gets there in time to enjoy it. One time we left out some perfume and said, you look at we recognize that you get quite a sweat up working, you know, it's flying all around the world in one night, and so put some of this on before you get back home so Mrs. Claus isn't so repelled by your chimney scent. I'm gonna just read a couple of the notes that we sent through the years. All right. Some of these are dated. You can tell, you know, the era that we sent these. Oops, that's wrong. This is what I want to send. Okay. This is 2003. Dear Santa, obviously, what's just happening? Obviously, you are a man who is at peace with his feminine side. I mean, look at the way you dress. Bells, red suit, fur. Kudos to you for really embracing that whole gay apparel concept. But you need to give that gay attention to your grooming, boy. The polar bear look went out with bathhouses. It's time to freshen up your look and tame that beard. Your look says ZZ Top, and we want it to say She Hot. We love you no matter what. We just think Mrs. Claus would appreciate it, and you may even feel better. Think about it. The Fab Two, Jimmy and Johnny. There's another year we left out a book by the Marquis de Sade. It's in 2001. It said, Dear Santa, just wanted to give you a heads up. The PETA people for the ethical treatment of animals, have been putting a lot of pressure on man-beast relationships. Now, we know that the reindeer are all on your team by choice. We know that the harnesses, whips, and other bondage gear is all consensual, but the folks at PETA are a bit aggressive in their attacks of any potential abuse. The British tabloids have been saying that a few of the reindeer, Prancer in particular, are being held against their will. Now, you and I both know that is ridiculous. Any reindeer, or midget, elf, or dwarf for that matter, would kill to be a part of Santa's team. We know it's silly, but for everyone's sake, keep it on the down low for a while. Try to get some publicity shots of Rudolph's red nose and a big happy smile. In any case, thanks for stopping by. We're huge fans of your work. Love, Jimmy and Johnny. Sometimes, you know, the note is what's funny. Sometimes we make props or things like that. Like, for example, here is a modified candy box we left out. Dear Santa, the economic downturn has been tough on all of us, and while we're not privy to your financial statements, the number of kids asking for iPods and cell phones cannot be making things any easier for you. But not to worry. We've been tossing around some ideas, and we think we have some rock-solid ideas to help you maximize profits and avoid any elfin layoffs. We've come up with 2 new revenue streams for you. Number 1, leverage your good name. Not in a tacky way, of course. We have a couple suggestions right off the bat and have initiated talks with Procter & Gamble for a candy cane scented line of hair and beard grooming products, as well as the Nestle Corporation. See the prototype candy packaging attached to this note, and we left out the reindeerettes. Number 2, hire out the elf workforce during the off-season. There are hundreds of options, but the obvious one to start with are as stuntmen for the children. Duh, maybe you're already doing this. We have some interested parties who would also like to get started on some miniature reenactments of Civil War battles. Look, we love you. We don't mean to tell you how to do your business, but times are tough, and we'd hate to see you or any elf family suffer. Humbly, Jimmy and Johnny. And then let's see. The last one I wanted to share was last year. Was it last year? Yes, I guess it was last year. We left out a medicinal mistletoe card for Santa. And the note said, Dear Santa, with such a long and stressful night ahead of you, we wanted to leave you a little herbal refreshment to mellow your vibe. By the way, you do have a medical card, right? We went ahead and got you one so that you can avoid hassle with the Cali police. We should warn you that this is pretty strong stuff. If you get too foggy and you're high as a kite, remember, Rudolph can guide your sleigh tonight. He doesn't partake in reindeer games, so he's an awesome designated sleigh driver. Anywho, thanks for being such an awesome gifting role model. You truly are an inspiration. Thanks again for all you do. Love, Jimmy and Johnny. P.S. If you're not a smoker, just leave this underneath the tree of any college student. So, we've got a few weeks to brainstorm and figure out what we're going to leave for Santa this year. I don't know. It's always fun. It's always a kick, and I welcome everyone to embrace change in your holidays and your traditions. It's a super fun thing to take the old and with the new and kind of evolve into what is perfect and ideal and inspiring and fun for everyone's family. When it comes to Easter time, I'll share the Easter beer bottle hunt that we do. And I welcome everyone to share their odd and crazy and new and fun traditions as well. So as we begin the Yuletide season, I demand figgy pudding, and I won't go until I get some. I won't go until I get... Just kidding. Sorry, that song gets in me. It gets me riled up. I'm not sure why we teach children to sing that. What I was going to say is happy Yuletide season to you. May whatever holiday or non-holiday you practice allow you to be more open and giving and loving as you wind down the year and connect with yourself and others. Happy holidays. Happy Hug Nation. I love you. Namaste.
You only live once. Enjoy the color.